Politics has a way of reminding us that the game never stops and it never ceases to surprise. Tonight, we have a one-on-one with a familiar face who has entered the 2026 race wearing some unexpected colors. Ulrich Alexander Rick Fox, three-time NBA champion, actor, entrepreneur, and former Bahamas ambassador at large for sports, has now been ratified as the Free National Movement's candidate for Garden Hills. So tonight, we're not here for a highlight reel, we're here for clarity. Who is Rick Fox beyond the celebrity, beyond the headlines, and what does he believe he can deliver for the people of Garden Hills and for the country he says he's always carried with him? You're watching On the Record. I'm your host, Jerome Sawyer. The show begins on the other side of this break. This is On the Record, and tonight we are pleased to welcome the F&M candidate for Garden Hills, Rick Fox. First of all, I never thought I'd say that. That was a moment for me just now to have to say that. But first of all, Rick, thank you for coming, for agreeing to come on the show and talk to us. And in full disclosure, we've been trying to get you on the show for a long time. So again, thank you for coming.
My pleasure, Jerome, and I've been waiting for this moment. I've always wanted to sit here with you and have a conversation. I wanted us to have something to actually talk about that the Bahamian people in the country could actually bite into and feel some clarity around what this is all about.
So I think in the last 6 months, you gave us some things to talk about, but within the last 48 hours, you've given us a lot more to talk about with the announcement of your candidacy with the Free National Movement. We're going to get to that point in a moment, but I want to use this first part of the show to really talk a little bit more about who you are. We have seen you as a celebrity, we've seen you as the NBA star, we've seen you do all of these things, but I want to begin by talking about your story first. And what's the origin of the Bahamian Rick Fox? Who are you? Where did you come from? As we say in Bahamas, who's your people?
Yeah, who's your people? Well, I'm a Fox, so son of Ulrich Fox out of Long Island, the Turnquest family, my grandmother and grandfather, Fox and Turnquest. So I grew up with my dad and his 11 brothers and sisters on Mackey Street. So he left for opportunity at a young age, leaving school at the 8th grade, and as always the case in our history as a country, sometimes opportunity is outside, and sometimes we leave as young men and women to go find those opportunities. The opportunity ended up finding love with my mom when he was working as a car salesman, a used car salesman up in Canada. They got married, had me, and then shortly thereafter, about 9 months later, moved home. So I grew up in Farrington Road to begin with, Stapleton Gardens, next to my aunt Flo and my cousins Marcus and the family there. And then we moved up to Johnson Road. And then my dad, at a certain point, when we got independence, when I was sitting on his shoulders down at the park there, when the Union Jack came down and our flag went up, I was a young 4-year-old Bahamian kid seeing the fireworks go off. And then my dad started Holiday Ice. So for those that are older, maybe older than us a little bit, the time before social media, I grew up working my dad's plant right around the corner here at Soldier Road, where he was I think, if not the first person in the industrial park where Holiday Ice was built. And my dad started there from Mackey Street, the Soldier Road Industrial Park, out to Nassau Street with the depots, and then over to Freeport. So I grew up as a young man in a house of an entrepreneur father, building business, fighting for independence, and then serving the community. So I was fortunate to have an example of leadership with parents who not only were a part of the community, whether it be me at school at Kingsway Academy, growing up there, We Wisdom. And
that's a name I haven't heard.
We Wisdom,
We
right?
Wisdom.
Yeah, no, Faith Temple in Palmdale.
Yeah,
you know, I grew up in Faith Temple in Palmdale. Someone said the other day on social media, I used to sit behind you, was falling asleep on your daddy. You know, I was under the pew, you know, so sneaking out to go across the McDonald's. So those memories. But that was my childhood. This community raised me, you know, from my grandmother in Mackey Street to my aunts and uncles all over the island.
And I've got to ask you, you know, in those younger days, you talk about so many things that are so nostalgic for my generation. What were the influences of the community at that time that really poured into you, that helped you to become who you are today?
Yeah, well, I hope it can exist again the way it existed for me as a young man. Mm-hmm. Everyone raised you. And when I mean everyone raised you, everyone took an interest in our youth and made sure that they were on the straight and narrow. And if they weren't, if I could get a whooping from my daddy, your daddy could whoop me, mm-hmm. right? Mm-hmm. It was because they were raising a nation. We were building a nation, and we had our forefathers and mothers took over and fought for that, and we got that in our hands, and then we started to build that together. So what influenced me was I grew up when I went to the States for school, high school, and into college. I found myself with friends that were Black Americans, and I couldn't understand the way they moved in their country because they didn't move like I saw fellow Black Bahamians move.
Explain that. What do you mean they didn't move?
The confidence that I had going out into the world, because I grew up with Black men and women running a country and Black men and women owning businesses. There wasn't a room in the world that I didn't think I shouldn't be in. There wasn't a conversation I didn't think I couldn't have with anybody. And so that level of confidence, I tell young Bahamian men and women that talk to me today when they say, well, how do I go over out in the world and do things like you did? And I say, look, you already set up more than you believe, and you know. Because when you get there, you're gonna move with a different level of confidence simply because you come from the Bahamas. And you have a level of expectation that says there's not a room, a place, a conversation, a job, a career that I can't have or shouldn't be able to do. What I just hope to see someday and still want and believe can happen is that option one for any of those career paths, for any of those dreams and aspirations can be here first.
We're going to spend a little time on that in another segment. But I want to go back a bit to your career and your life. I heard you say something on Tuesday night at the ratification.
Yeah.
And it stuck with me. You said, I'm a Bahamian and I left home to go to school and to find work. Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about that. You went off to high school, got involved in basketball, and this opportunity came for you.
Yeah. Don't get Oprah on me now. Get me too emotional up in here now. Look, leaving home is at the age of 15 to go pursue an education and to get a scholarship and to fight for a career. For me, basketball was a vision of possibility because of Michael Thompson. Michael Thompson lived in Blair Estates. I could drive my bike by his house. I got to meet him as a young Bahamian. He was a real person who had accomplished real things having left home. But when I left to go, even though it was possible because he'd done it, it didn't take away the feeling of missing my parents, missing Bahamian food, missing my church, missing my Montague Beach, missing my cousins right over here, Carla Sonoe, who I grew up with, Deansa right here, Brenda, my family. Like I miss all of that. And my own brothers and sisters, I miss them because they missed me because I had left. So those are the tough things that all of our sons and daughters end up doing. Like you leave your home, you leave your culture in pursuit of an opportunity and a career. And so when I did that, I was successful at it. But I just went to school, and because I got drafted into the NBA, I wish the Nassau Marlins had drafted me into the NBA. You know, we don't have that team, right? I wish that Hollywood, when I went on to do TV and movies, I wish that Hollywood shot more TV and movie here, right? I just happened to be good at a couple careers that kept me on the road working for a long time. Now, this idea that in some way I dropped in out of the clouds 4 years ago back home. Check the logs. Like, we got immigration. I come through as a Bahamian all the time at the airport. Go look at the logs. You will see I never left home. I went to work. I went to school. But any chance I got to come home, I was home. Why wouldn't I come visit my family? Why wouldn't I come visit the home I'm from, right? So I never left. I just went to work and I went to school.
One of the things that we talked about, I'm going to bring it up a bit, was one of the narratives out there is that, Rick is Canadian, or he's American, or, he's given an allegiance to other countries over the years and forgotten about the Bahamas. How do you respond to those narratives? I mean, when you just said, you never really left home, but you weren't looking for, but how do you respond to those narratives?
It's an endless narrative, because no matter what I share, it seems to stick for some people, because they believe that in some way I lived in Canada or I left to go to Canada. I did not leave to go to Canada. I was born in Canada. That's where my mom had me, and my parents were married and lived for the time they had me. But I've never lived in Canada. I don't own property in Canada. I never had an apartment. I never had a home. I've never lived there. But in people's minds, that's where I went by choice. Like somehow I was up at Johnson Road and I say, you know what, I'm done with y'all, I like going to Canada. That's not the case, right? It wasn't like I was in the womb and called up my mother and say, hey, look here, can you go up to Canada and help me in Canada?
Get me straight up there.
Yeah. No. And so, but it is a narrative, and someone has put that out there for whatever reason. And I understand politics is a grimy business at times, and if what they hope to do is separate me from my culture and who I am and the people that I love and the country that I love by saying that, well, that'll slowly wash away. Because you know why, Jerome? It's not as important as people putting food on their table, people paying a light bill, people finding a job, getting an opportunity. At a certain point, that's going to be noise that doesn't matter. What they're going to care about is, hey, man, you here to lift our country up? You here to lift our community up? Because look, man, I know your daddy. I know Holiday Ice. I know your mommy. I know you went to Kingsway. All those people that know me and have known me for years will start telling those stories, because it'll be offensive, because it's discrediting them and their history and their story, because I was a part of it and I'm a part of it. I would wish for no parent that they would have a kid off in school, in high school or college, or working a job, which they pray someday would come home and give back or be home to in the years when they are becoming senior citizens and bringing their grandkids home, or I would hope that their kids could come home someday. Because if they're attacking me for coming home, then that's the wrong message. Because all the diaspora out there, they watching this,
I was about to ask you.
They're watching this.
I was really about to ask you, because that the Bahamian diaspora is very strong, and I think some people don't realize.
They call me.
Really?
Yes, they call me. Because they want to know what this journey's been like for me. And these are I was on the phone last night late with a very, very successful, prominent gentleman out there in the world. He's global. And he is rooting for this to be a success, because he knows, and I know, how important it is for other Bahamians that have great skills, that have great passion for our country, that can affect and grow our country to another level, for them to feel like, you know what, leaving what I have here and coming home and bringing all of those resources and all that network and all that passion home to pass it on, or to plant and grow something fruitful for us all, is important. And I don't want them to be discouraged. If I got to take the hits, I'll take them. But I know at the end of the day, I want Jazz, I want Buddy, I want other athletes, I want businessmen that are CEOs of major companies in the U.S. and are working in Texas or the U.S. or in other parts of the world, in London, wherever they are, to look at this and go, no, our country's going to another level, and my level of experience and expertise, knowledge, resources, network can add value to grow. And we have to advance in our thinking to recognize that we got to build a bridge to those people. Because if we're going to go to the next level, which is going to impact all of us and raise all of our level of standard of living, we need those people. We don't have enough people here already to do that, right? It's not a threat to those that are excellent at what they do here at home, right? It's for the next generation to get those skill sets.
Why do you think, though, that, culturally, and what's so strange, at the height of your success, whether it was, an NBA, whether it was, your success in the NBA or Hollywood success, there were these people cheering on, Rick Fox, he's one of us, he's one of us.
Yeah.
Do you think it's just because of politics, some of those same people have turned on you? Or is it something else? And I ask because I'm going to give you an example. When Aisha Bo went into space, took the Bahamian flag with her, we did a whole show here with her. And when I saw the vitriol that came from some of our own people, it gave me pause. And I thought to myself, what is it? What is happening to us, or what has happened to us?
I wish I had that answer. I really do.
How does it make you feel, though?
It saddens me.
Yeah.
It saddens me. Because I don't want them to have the feeling that they're having. And I'm sure Aisha or myself or others that are off doing these things globally, that are proud to be representing us as a country in these moments, we don't want them to feel like in that moment the way they feel. I wish we could build a bridge to understand what that means, because there's others coming behind us, right? There's others out there actually right now representing us. Some young Bahamian man or girl will be out there doing that in 3 years, in 5 years, in 10 years. And if we can somehow fix that too, then if it's a feeling of abandonment, that some way you left us, or you had an opportunity to leave and go do other things that we wish we could do, I'm here to tell you, you can do those things, right? And because one person does it, or two people or three people do it, that opens the door. When I was a young boy in Johnson Road, Michael Thompson was the only NBA player. Now we got 4 or 5 of them in the league, right? Why can't we have 20, right? But that's career.
We can almost have an Olympic team.
We should, and we will, right? The time that I spent during my Laker championship years in the 2000 to 2003, instead of playing, listen to what I'm going to say, Jerome. Instead of playing for the Canadian Olympic team, which I did not play for, I'm going to say it again.
That's clear.
I never played for a Canadian Olympic basketball team. Okay, I played for a world championship team in the summer one time, okay? I turned down playing for the Canadian Olympic team, and I came home and took over the basketball national program for 3 years. I took over during my NBA, while I was winning championships in the NBA, I was running the national basketball program for the Bahamas. So, if you ask those people that were running the country that asked me to do that I accepted proudly during the height of my career when we were doing all of our winning, when I was on podiums winning NBA championships wearing the Bahamas flag, people will say, we never see you on carrying the flag. I have the receipts. I have the photos. It's surprising to me.
You got to bring your receipts in politics.
That's what I'm learning.
You got to bring your receipts in politics.
That's something I'm learning. I've been a very private person. The things I do in my life behind the scenes.
You got to bring your receipts.
I'm learning.
Bring your receipts.
Someone called me for the last month and they said, man, you got to tell your story. Yeah. People don't know you ran the Bahamian National Basketball Program. They didn't know you had camps with 300 people trying out. They don't know you brought coaches.
People know. People conveniently forget.
Well, I'll tell you who conveniently forgets. People that are in power right now. Because they were there. They were there. So why is it that they will allow for that to permeate when they were there? When they know the facts? So it was okay for me to be an ambassador and represent the country for tourism for 10 plus years, and to be in commercials and Super Bowls, and to be traveling the country and the world and globally for the tourism department under the late Minister Obi Wilchcombe, rest in peace, my guy there. I did these things because I was proud to serve. And then when I come home, I didn't come home asking for an ambassadorship. They hunted me down and said, hey, we want you to be an ambassador. I said, well, I'm doing that anyway, but okay. I said, I don't know what that looks like. You'll have to teach me, but I'm willing to serve in some capacity. And so, when you do these things, one minute it's okay. Well, as you know, to be an ambassador, you have to be a Bahamian. So unless someone didn't do their job, which I know the Prime Minister did his job, because he knows my resume and he knows the value that I bring to the country already, because he's seen me do that for 15 to 20 plus years. Because I've been in concert with people in this country in leadership for a long time, helping build the country just behind the scenes, right? And so now you tell me you're in politics, Rick, you need to tell these stories. I will tell them. I just don't like talking about myself. I like results. I like action. I like doing and letting that stuff speak for it. But if, Jerome, you talk to a lot of politicians, right? It's a lot of talk, right?
Oh, a lot
Not
of audio.
enough
Always got to keep
action,
a file.
not enough results, right?
Very much so. Yeah.
I want to be judged as a politician by my results. I don't want to give empty promises. I don't want to give a bunch of hot air and speeches and talk and not deliver, right?
Finally, we're just about to go to the break, but I've got to ask you this. Throughout your career, all of these opportunities coming at you, there were even opportunities for citizenship and other things and to be connected with governments and politicians elsewhere, but you turned them down.
Yeah.
Why?
Because it's not my country. I'm not American. I don't live there, right? I mean, from presidential nominations and candidates runs to governors to mayors of cities, look, I was a Laker and a Hollywood TV and movie star, right? So you're talking to someone that can influence masses of people, right? With my endorsement, people, they've offered me citizenships in the U.S. I said, thank you, no thank you. I'm Bahamian. I don't want to be a citizen of the U.S. My kids can be there, but I'm a Bahamian. I'm going home, but as soon as I can, right? To live permanently, which I did. As soon as my daughter graduated from college, when they see their daddy, they see him in the Bahamas. So they know that about me, right? And so for me, it wasn't my place to influence a U.S. election, just as it's not their place to influence a Bahamian election, right? When I came home in 2021, by 2022 May, I was down in Kalani getting my voter's card because I was excited to be voting. I was excited at some point in 4 years to be going and casting my first vote in any election anywhere in the world.
So that was the first time you'd ever voted?
No, this is going to be the first time I ever vote.
This is going to be the first time?
Yes, and I can't wait. Wow. So it's the first time for a lot of people, for me, and from a lot of people that need to get out and register and to vote. That's how we protect our sovereignty. We don't have mandatory military service in our country. But you know how you protect our country? By participating, by getting out and voting. This next generation, I want y'all to come out and vote with me.
You got more time for that.
We're going to vote for the first time, all of us.
Listen, we got to take a break. We've got a lot more to talk about. When we come back, we're going to pivot. Why politics? Why now? And why Garden Hill? Stay with us. You've got more on the record right after this. Welcome back. We are still with our guest, Free National Movement candidate Rick Fox. This segment is all about the political pivot. So we spend a lot of time talking about who you were and how what made you, how you got to this point. But at what exact moment did you stop and say to yourself, someone should fix this, and started thinking, maybe I should get involved to help to fix?
Well, I would start with, I thought we were fixing it. And that gave me the confidence to start my business here at home, to return in 2019, first in service through Hurricane Dorian. Got on the ground during a hurricane I'd never seen the likes of. I grew up where hurricanes, for me as a kid, were an exciting thing.
You got to stay home from school.
You got to stay home from school. And in our case, in our house, we would play board games and we would huddle up downstairs and it was almost like family time, right? And then we would come down here on Soldier Road and we would open up the ice house and we would serve the community with ice to keep everyone's food and from spoiling, right? And this hurricane was a different hurricane. Hurricane Dorian was a disaster. I then decided at that stage in my life at 50, I just turned 50 literally 3 months earlier. I remember September 1st when the hurricane happened, and I turned July 24th 50. And at that point, I spent the first 50 years of my life pursuing career, supporting my family, growing my kids in their life as young men and women in my household. And I decided, you know what, the next 50 years of my life, if I should be so blessed by God to stay on this earth for another 50, I need to take all of this fortune that I've amassed in terms of not money, but in experience and network and knowledge and blessings, and bring that and share that with the people that I'm most passionate about and the country I'm most passionate about. That hurricane was the first moment that I got to do that, not through just donating money or raising money, which I did, but was to actually be a part of solving the problem on the ground. Raised funds, we built the school in Abaco to rebuild it, to get it back up and running. Did that, and then I noticed in that moment, through communication with the government, that we were $11 billion in debt. And 48% of that was due to the constant rebuild every time a hurricane was coming through. And to me, knowing that these hurricanes weren't going to stop, I said, we have to figure out how to meet these elements more resiliently. And that kicked off the idea of researching what are the materials I can find to build homes with to resist the salt water from eroding and destroying these homes. And that started Partana. That started the company. During COVID, I built the company. And then in 2021, I launched it here at home. We started here at home. I came home, my daughter graduated, and I sold my house and moved home. And I was passionate about being at home. And in doing that, I came to solve one problem. But as you hire Bahamians and move throughout the ministries and do business on a day-to-day basis, you start to experience the system. The reality of executing in a system that is really, right now to this day, still not as efficient as it should be for all of us. And regardless of the sector, regardless as a citizen moving through life, it needs to be better. So when you ask me why now, or where did this come from, where did you get the impetus to get in frontline pursuit, it was about a system that I saw that needs to improve drastically. And it's a system that I thought had improved already drastically over the last 50 years. In my case, over the last 30 years. And I was experiencing it firsthand. So the struggles that an average Bahamian goes through, albeit my ability to solve problems differently maybe than another Bahamian, I was still having to solve the same problems. And then I was in that system, and that system was just grinding things to a halt. And I was thinking to myself that if this can happen to me, it can happen to anyone. And it is happening to others. Mm-hmm. And so I said, the only way to change that is to actually either sit on the sidelines and complain about it, or to be the defender, the facilitator, the leader that I've always been in any team I've been on. And in this case, I'm on Team Bahamas. And so it's time to step into the fight and figure out how to change those policies. And the only way to change policies is to be in government.
You started, though, with a campaign of sorts on social media.
Yeah.
You started speaking out. And I remember the first time I saw it, I said, this has to be a fake account. Like, I didn't think it was you.
Yeah.
Because, again, prior to that, you'd never really spoken out. You never, you'd been, as you say, in your role as an ambassador, you'd been a part of the promotion of the Bahamas. You'd always been, I guess, on the positive side of things. And all of a sudden you started speaking out against the injustices in the country that were resonating with some people. But what drove you to start there? Why on that platform, and why then?
Yeah, I think it started with a young marine biologist during COVID. She reached out to me on social media. She was fighting the oil drilling that was going on in our waters. And I saw the request for me to retweet or share the fundraising that she was doing to try and fight saving our waters from oil spills. And it moved me. It moved me because she was young. She was passionate about the ocean, which is our livelihood. And I thought, if I can be of assistance to this, I care about our oceans too. So I started to write. I donated some funds to her, and then I started to write about it on my Facebook page. And it started to resonate with other Bahamians. And then it made the front page of the papers from my house in LA. And shortly thereafter, I started to ask, and if you go back and look, I started to ask really pressing questions about who was behind this. And then I found out it was some company out of the Isle of Man. And I was like, okay, but why is this company out of the Isle of Man talking so confidently about our waters? And why are they moving with arrogance about our natural resources? I said, there has to be someone else behind this that's Bahamian. So I just kept asking questions because I wanted to understand for myself. But I think it created more of a conversation at home around that. And shortly thereafter, that went away. And so it was in that moment that I realized that I was passionate about these issues too, and that I could have a supportive a voice in things that I cared about.
Bahamians would listen.
That they would listen, and that we were aligned.
Mm-hmm.
And so in the case of being home for 4 years, I was not publicly on Facebook having conversations about political by-elections or issues in our country. They all evolve based on what starts to come to the surface. So what I didn't know was that growing up in that household in Johnson Road with a dad who was a part of the community, whether it's in the Chamber of Commerce or Light Industry Act and all these things that he was a part of, were influences in me. I was watching a man serve the community, and it was the man I became. Right? I was just now back home in the community just like him, right? And so the beauty of that was I started to be moved in ways where obviously I was carrying myself and having conversations privately about these issues to the point where people started to say, oh, man, you should get out in frontline politics. Why don't you think about getting out in frontline politics? And my answer in that moment was, well, yeah, I always thought it was down the road. I always thought at some point when I was wiser or more experienced that I could do it down the road. So I didn't have it as right now, right? So when you ask me why now came about over the last 6 months because the more I got into the conversation, the more I realized that we don't have time as a country. If I have the ability to serve in a frontline capacity, to bring my experiences, my network, my resources, my passion, all these things to bear. And this was Michael. This was how Michael connected to me, and he said, I said, well, Mike, I always thought the first time.
Michael, you mean
leader of the opposition? The leader of the opposition. When he,
okay.
And I have to give the current prime minister also his due, because I asked him as well about frontline politics, and then I met Michael, and so the conversation was a parallel conversation of our two leaders. One of them is going to run this country. One is running it now, and I believe that Michael is going to be the next one to run our country. Right? And so in those conversations, I asked them personally, do I have something to offer this country in frontline politics? Because I don't want to assume that that's my role. It's not for me to decide. And the conversation that was communicated to me was, the people will tell you. The people will tell you if they want you to serve. And that was so true. And so that's why I went to social media, because I needed a conversation with the people to understand, is this something that you want me to do? Because I don't want to assume you want me to do this.
So the people on social media help
100%. The positive and the negative.
Really?
Yes. The positive and the negative. Because I got a clear picture of, there's people out here that don't really know me. They don't know that I've shared the same upbringing as them. That I've gone to the churches, I've eaten at the same restaurants, I've gone to the grocery stores, I've worked in the same communities. I know every inch of this island. Like, I delivered ice to every inch of this island. I am as comfortable as you can be on this island. This is where I'm most home. But they don't know that about me. I didn't grow up in a social media era. I didn't grow up celebrating and posting my life everywhere, letting everybody know.
Consider yourself fortunate.
Yeah.
Why the Free National Movement? And you admitted that you had conversations with both leaders.
Yes.
But what was it that made you lean towards the Free National Movement and the leadership of Michael Pintard?
So Mike identified in me the similar values and philosophies and principles of country and people over party. So we got three symbols that people throw up, right? Right? I was looking for the one that got to this the closest. This is the Bahamas, and this are the people. They are first. Right? We got another party, and then we got the other party. They're the closest to this. Okay? That's important. That burns in me. And in those conversations, the team rose to the surface. And so for me, I wasn't looking for a party as much as I was looking for the right teammates. I need the right teammates to be able to serve them to do the best job for the country and the people, right? And so as I got to know Mike, I understood his principles. I understood that he saw in me value to contribute to our country, to the people of Garden Hills, and then to the F&M. And as I got to know him, I became a believer in his leadership, and then I got to know the party. And as I sat with the council members and I sat with the young members in the party, I said, this is where I'm supposed to be. And as we go forward together, we are the party to serve this people and take the country to the next level.
I got to ask you off camera how you were able to keep that a secret, because nothing in the Bahamas is a secret. And me with all of my sources did not know that was coming. Yeah. However, that aside, why Garden Hills? You've taken us on the journey of why politics, why the F&M.
Yeah.
How did you get to that constituency?
So I've learned this through the process of being ratified or nominated and then ratified. For me, my route was for me to be the best servant to the people in the country. I needed to find the best teammates that I was aligned with. So take, for instance, the NBA. When I left the Boston Celtics, I was drafted to the Boston Celtics. I didn't have a choice. I was honored to be in the NBA, but I had to find my way through that organization. It shaped me, it molded me, it grew me into the player that Jerry West, the logo of the NBA, recruited to bring to LA to be the glue, to be the leader of those championship teams, to win championships with Shaq and Kobe and Phil Jackson. So it molded me, it shaped me, but then I went to a different team. Now that team I went to was a choice. I, for the first time, became a member of a party in this country. I grew up in a party household, but as a man, I chose the party for the first time in my career, in my life. And so that to me set the tone for me moving forward in my life here at home, is that I'm moving with that team. So when you pick that team of teammates, now you try to bring that together, to bring the excellence out together to get that win. And the win to me is all of us rising to another level. The win for me is the affordability being something we don't talk about anymore, right? It's about how do we move and expand ourselves both in our families, in our communities, in our country, how we reach and serve each other, how we celebrate each other. We got to get better at that. We got to get better at celebrating each other and rooting for each other. For you to succeed doesn't mean I have to tear you down. For me to succeed doesn't mean I have to tear you down, right? I understand. You know where that comes from, though? I believe it comes from a limited amount of opportunity. When you have limited opportunity, for me to fight you, I gotta take your job, or I gotta get there, because if you got it, then I don't have it. Right? So we got to create more opportunity.
So that we're all
able to. The abundance of opportunity means we all get to eat. Yeah. Then we can relax. And I can celebrate you and celebrate her because I don't feel threatened for my own survival.
I've seen like some of this criticism. You know, you mentioned the late O.B. Wilshcombe is giving you an opportunity to work along with tourism when he was there. This administration has given you an opportunity to be an ambassador. Some people feel that you have turned on the PLP by joining the F&M when it was those individuals who gave you the opportunity to have these ambassadorships.
Well, first of all, anyone should be more concerned about me turning on the people or this country. Okay? I was not a member of the PLP. I was asked by the Prime Minister to serve the country and the people. I served at the will of the Prime Minister under the Minister of Foreign Affairs, right? I did that job for 3 years respectfully, honorably, and passionately. I loved serving my country in that new role. When the contract expired in August of 2025, I did not resign. I did not extend the contract. I resigned. People within the administration knew that. So the fact that I was being asked to step down as an ambassador was confusing to me because I've always seen myself in that role when I'm out in the world representing our country as a celebrity, as an athlete. I always moved because I know I represent us. So I always said that I will always be an ambassador of the people. I will never resign from that. Don't ask me to resign from that. I will never step down from doing that, with or without this title, right? And so I think there was two hats being worn, one of Minister of Foreign Affairs and one as the chairman of the PLP, right? And that's a difficult job to have to do when you're heading into an election year. So I understood the need for the chairman to identify clearly where I was speaking from. But as a citizen in the country now heading into an election, not an ambassador under contract, I spoke of a by-election because I was passionate about the Golden Isles by-election and how it was going to set the stage for the rest of the country. And all I wanted to do was challenge the constituents of Golden Isles to be vigilant. And if you notice in what I wrote, I wanted them to look at all the candidates equally and judge them on how they are going to best impact that constituency, not based on actions you may see happening suddenly when they should have been happening for the last 4 years. So that's the bag of rice you talk about from back in the day with the UBP, right?
We gave people a bag of rice.
You give people a fish instead of teaching them how to fish.
Yep.
We sell ourselves or our votes short instead of thinking about what's the next 5 years going to look like, right? And so we don't want, I want us to look at asking the hard questions and challenging our representatives to have plans and strategies and visions about the long term of how we're going to grow a community and grow our country, and not just fall for the quick, quick fix, right?
We've got to take our final break.
Yeah.
We still got a lot to talk about. But for our audience, still ahead, plans and a platform. What exactly is Rick promising the people of Garden Hills? We'll find out that and much more right after this break. Stay with us. Welcome back, and thank you for sticking with us in our final segment. I want to spend this portion of the show really talking about your plans. We've spoken a lot about what got you to this point, the decision making, what was behind the thought process, the things that influenced you. But now I want to delve into really your plans and platform, which is really what politics is about. You've got to move voters, and so you've got to come to them with a message. What would you say are some of the top issues right now for the constituents of Garden Hills that you've been able to identify and your team has identified to you?
Yeah. So as you can imagine, the journey to a constituency has been one that was under the radar for a while. A lot of that had to do with, again, identifying a constituency that would want to have me represent them. I had to put my trust in the party to identify that. I had ideas of where I thought I can contribute if I was in an independent capacity and I was serving under my own leadership, which I have now bought into Mike's leadership and the party of the F&M, because I believe we're aligned completely in where we want to see the country go. And I offered myself to the party to say, wherever you think is best suited for us to succeed and for me to serve the people of the country best. We've been talking about Garden Hills for a while, so I was well aware of that. So I've been out and moving around the community under the radar for a minute. But the best thing that happened in the last 48 hours is I got to meet and know the team on the ground that's been serving that community for the last 4 years. D'Angelo Ferguson, the chairman, the executive team, I have some meetings with them today. They have been in lockstep with the people of the community. Yesterday, I met with one of the former chairmen in the community to hear about what it's like to live in Garden Hills.
So how was that received when you've got a person like a D'Angelo who's been working? And it was no secret.
Yeah, he used to work here. Right?
Yeah, we were co-workers. Yeah. But it's been no secret that he's been seeking that nomination.
Yes,
and now being asked to step aside. What was that like? What has been the response? I mean, you 4.5 years of working to be told, I need you to stand down.
Yeah.
How is that going?
We just had a breakfast this morning over here at IHOP. He and I, along with the leader, just to.
Right over there. Nobody told us.
Close. Yeah, sorry.
That could have been the story of the day.
Yeah.
Anyway,
No, it was great because from the moment I was ratified, he and I got together along with two of his team members, Kai and Trevor, and we just started to already blend and work on what our working relationship can look like. Because at the end of the day, what I will commend D'Angelo and his team on is caring first and foremost about the community of Garden Hills, even above and beyond their own personal passions for their own individual careers. And man, that's growth and leadership beyond years. To be as young as he is and to put that aside, to follow Mike's and the teams and the executive committee and the council members that have voted for this move to happen this way, I commend him for that first and foremost. We're over there laughing and joking. We're excited about what we're gonna be doing today and in the community. And he has a bright future in politics if he so desires to continue that way, and out of politics. He's already sharp based on what I've known and learned about him in his own personal career, working wise. He's fun. He's funny. He's getting to know me a little bit. We're gonna have a lot of fun. But he has the voice in the ear of the families and the individuals in the community. He knows what they care about. I'm learning what they care about. I want to hear what they care about. I can't make a plan for the Garden Hills community without talking to the Garden Hills people. I can't do that. That would be arrogant on my part to know what I have not lived there for 20 years, 25 years, 30 years, right? I live in Nassau, so I can have a sense of the idea that the main issues that are affecting all of us, they have them also. But I got to get on an individual door-to-door level. I got to get into people's homes and have conversations with them. And they got to pour that out. They got to pour out their frustrations. They got to hear from myself and D'Angelo and the team that we're there for them still. Whatever they may be hearing on social media, whatever competitive communications that the opposition is putting out to try and divide and destroy what we are going to build together, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. Because he cares too much about the community. And now because I'm on that team, I care too much about that. That's my family now. That's my family. Okay. And they're going to get to know me. And all I ask for them is that they trust that D'Angelo and we got them, that the party has got them, and that they will get to know me and they will learn to trust us. And we will be their extension in that parliament that will fight for them the same way I fought to protect Shaq or Kobe, or I fought for my son and daughter as a father, the same way wherever I am, I move. I'm a defender, I'm a facilitator, and I'm a leader for those that care to have me represent them.
You said something I want to go back to, and it ties to your time where you've been resident back home. And being in the Bahamas, doing business in the Bahamas, living in the Bahamas, you mentioned the fact that you know, in trying to do business, you face a lot of the issues that ordinary Bahamians face. So from a national perspective, what have you been able to garner are going to be the sticking issues for voters this time around? What things are Bahamians most concerned about that you think they are going to be taking into the polling booths come election day?
Yeah, look, any party in power is going to want to sell the story that they have advanced the country forward in affordability to where a Bahamian, regardless of their status, their life has gotten easier. The only person that can answer that is that person in the booth, right? So that vote is going to come from whether or not that is true or not for them, right? So no matter what they say has happened, that they've advanced and moved things forward, the voter is going to tell them that on voting day, right? And I know to be true that when I move around and talk to individuals, first of all, I understand why the system works the way it works now, because the cost of living is too high, and the means with which people live and pay their and take care of their families is not affordable. They're trying to find ways to work the system to fill those gaps. And so that's how the system bogs down, right? Because that needs to be elevated. The opportunities needs to rise. The means with which they can make money and have an affordable lifestyle has to change. That's just the reality of it. And I think Bahamians would connect with me on that. Our safety, our security as a nation, our borders, our Bahamians sitting there and feeling like in their own country between legal and illegal aliens that they are first. We can serve our guests. We can welcome new immigrants, but they can't come before us, right? They can't come before us, right? They can join our community, but Bahamians have to feel seen, heard, understood, respected. There's a generation of 1973 and older. To me, they are celebrated founding fathers and mothers of our country, and they should go through the rest of their life living in their country on a level that I have not seen yet. I want to fight for them. And they are going to be fought for in my own community to begin with, the Garden Hills. And then the generation that's going to come behind and protect all of us and have the baton handed to them, they're screaming for opportunity. They're screaming for an opportunity to actually live out the dreams that they have, to grow in and to become leaders of the country, to make careers for themselves, to build businesses. That's opportunity, right? There's not enough of it. You can't tell me there's enough of it. If there was, we wouldn't be leaving home. We wouldn't be seeking it elsewhere. We wouldn't be finding ourselves picking between a life of uncertainty that we'll make bad choices from, or having a job where we're proud, where we're looking for our first home, where we're looking for our first apartment, where we're moving out from mom and dad, right? Where we're finding our first partner, our girlfriend, having our first family. Like, these are things that every Bahamian young man and woman should be experiencing. Because if they hit their 30s and they haven't experienced that, they're going to feel hopeless. They're going to be disenfranchised. They're not going to show up and vote. They're going to think that their country has been lost, because I call it Hurricane Future. Hurricane Future's on the way. And it's what drives me, because I look at where we're going. And if I talk to the generation that's 35 and younger, and if one more person tells me they ain't for the process, they ain't for the electoral system.
Which is true.
It's true. I'm telling you, I've talked to over 600
people. And despite the numbers of people who are voting, there are a lot of people. People who have registered. There are a lot of people out there who, as determined, right, they're not for the process. They're not interested. They don't think anything is going to change for them. What do you say to them? I mean, and I'm sure as you go to these people's front doors, they're going to tell you that, bro, I like you, I appreciate it, I know you are, but ain't nothing to change. And what are you going to say to them to make them believe that you can cause things to change for them?
We will change. This party, the FNM, right now, will change. Transparency will come. Accountability that they've been waiting on will be there. All of this passion that you see coming from this time of year has to be sustained through. Your MP has to be there. I watch my father suit up and show up daily for his business. I know what that looks like. I suited up, showed up daily for the NBA. You don't take a job and do it one day a week or half, I can't swear, but like literally, you have to suit up and show up. You have to do the work. You have to do the job to get the results you want. And when someone feels apathetic or believes that they're disenfranchised and nothing's going to change, you know why they feel that way? Because they've seen 3, 4, 5 elections where it hasn't. They've heard the same promises recycled. They've seen the same leaders show up again.
So what's different this time?
Well, let's start with me. I'm different. I'm a different option. I'm a different choice, right? Michael is a different choice. His choices of representatives are different, right? And so you look at what his messaging has been, what the party's messaging is, right? It's the same branding, which, like you said, people see the branding. Don't get lost in the branding. Focus on the team, right? Focus on the individuals. Focus on the teams that are going to represent you. Get to know them. Get to know each of us in the FNM, in your constituency, and listen to what we have to say. If you're going to buy into each of us and buy into us collectively, we are here to do the work. We work for you, not the few. And when I say we work for you, that's each and every one of you, regardless if you're an FNM or a PLP. I don't come to serve just FNM people. When I talk to people on the ground in Garden Hills, the PLP people in Garden Hills did well. You can't leave other people behind. We will not leave PLP people in Garden Hills behind. Even some of them got left behind. So you have to represent everyone. You have to be for everyone in that constituency. And that's what I believe in.
As you move through this journey, and this is a question I always have, people have aspirations. Just hypothetically, should your party be successful, is there a particular cabinet post that you would like if given an opportunity?
I think the Minister of Finance and the Prime Minister will decide that. I know where I have expertise in. I've served in the Ministry of Tourism as an ambassador there. I obviously have globally traveled the world and have a lot of relationships in that regard in other countries. Minister of the investment aspect of foreign direct investment, have a lot of interest business-wise globally that I believe and know I'll be able to attract, because in less than 48 hours, people are already reaching out with interest in the Bahamas through me that I expected to happen.
People outside of the Bahamas?
Oh, yeah.
Are already reaching out to you?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And these aren't small people with small ideas. These are big ideas with big opportunities, I think, to grow our country's industries and also our country's opportunities. And so that will happen. I have relationships with foreign leaders, also relationships with ambassadors now for the last 4 years and even before that. So I think I have an opportunity. They will choose from a multitude of resources and network that I have and decide of where I can serve. We got to win first. I got to win. Look, someone asked you what your first 90 days looks like. I said, it looks like me getting to know the constituents of Garden Hills better, getting to know them better. I got to serve them first, right? If I can't serve them successfully, how am I going to serve a ministry?
I got to ask you this. We're just about out of time, but what has been, within these past few hours that you have announced your candidacy, what's one of the things that has caught you by surprise, or something already that's been unexpected?
I remember in 2000 to 2001 and 2 when we were winning championships in the NBA. NBA Finals tickets, your phone would be blowing up. And in the last 48 hours, I had never seen this before ever in my life. Now, some of it is well-wishing. Some of it is connecting me to team members. Some of it is surprise globally that I've made this decision. Support from all over the world, all over locally. And then a lot of memes from the other side attacking me. I mean, I hear I hate my father. I hear a lot of things. It's funny to me. I have a cousin. I won't say his name because he said, "Man, you always put me on the spot." Because people get concerned at this time of year that if they align with you publicly, they could be sent out to the wilderness in their lives, right? If you don't win. But he would call me and he'd say, "Hey man, you see this? They put this out about you," and I would start laughing, right? Because I've been living this for 30 years, right, of my life as a celebrity. And he said, "Man, why are you always laughing?" I said, "Because it's funny to me. Because it ain't true, but this is what I've signed up for, right?"
I was about to say
this is what you signed up for.
With the job.
It is entertaining. It is strategy. It is flat out a lot of lies and stuff made up. I've gone everything from hating my father to, someone told me that they say, in the next week you're going to be gay, right?
Everything.
So everything. So it's everything. But that comes with the territory. I just wish we could, if we're going to decide an election based on memes and lies and misleading, then we ain't serious about changing and growing our country.
Final question: should you not be successful in winning this election, what's next? Will we still see Rick Fox around?
Yeah, I burn the ships. I am home, man. This is home. And people don't understand that, right? I said this is home. I'm not going anywhere. I always had this plan to be home. This is where if anybody want to know where your heart, where your loyalties is, ask them where they're gonna bury you. They can be buried right here in this country, just like everyone else, every other family member in my house. This is home.
You're a real baby when you talk about where they can bury you.
Yeah, that's where they're gonna bury me, right here.
Rick, we are out of time, but first of all, thank you for providing us with this opportunity to speak with you. I think it's important that we hear from folks. We allow them to tell their story, and we're proud that we continue to provide that platform. But aside from that, I want to commend you for stepping out to doing this. There are many Bahamians who have achieved success in many ways, and you certainly are at the top of that. And to reach back and to want to do this really speaks speaks greatly to your character, because politics in any country is not easy. Politics in the Bahamas is definitely not easy. And to offer yourself in service to any party is admirable. I do want to say that, and I want to thank you for I guess showing many Bahamians who are out there, who are not resident here, who are living and working elsewhere, that there's still an opportunity to serve. So I do want to thank you for that, and I hope, as you have said, as many are watching, maybe this is the beginning of a change, and others will begin to think or see themselves in roles back home. And even if it's not in frontline politics, we need Bahamians who are living and working and who are successful elsewhere. We need them home. We need their expertise. We need their investments. We need their hands, because we certainly are not able to do it on our own. So best of luck to you. You've got a rough road ahead of you. Politics is not an easy ride. You think the NBA was tough? You're about to get it. But
Jerome,
all the best to you.
I appreciate you. Thank you for giving me the space and the opportunity to share some of these ideas and thoughts with fellow Bahamians. This is a responsibility. It's a calling. And no matter how long you run away from it or how long you think you could push it off, at the end of the day, if you know it's the right thing you're supposed to be doing, if you know much has been given, much has to be given back, then you step in and you serve. And whatever struggle and strife or difficulties or sweat and toil and tears that come with this journey, I will have you know it can't be as hard as it was leaving home at 15 and pursuing a life elsewhere. It's light work, man.
Gotcha.
It's light work.
Well, all the best to you. Thank you very much.
Thank
And
you
know what? If nobody's told you so far, welcome home.
Thank you.
All right.
That.
Rick Fox, thank you for sitting with us and taking the questions head on tonight. And to you at home, whether you're encouraged, unconvinced, or still deciding, our hope is that tonight's conversation brought you a little more clarity about the man, his values, and where he stands when it comes to country. But in the end, the decision belongs to the people, especially the constituents of Garden Hills, who will make their choice in the 2026 general election. That's it for us tonight. I'm Jerome Sawyer, and this has been On the Record. We'll see you next week.